Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingrass, and this is Dr. G's ADHD chat show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. I'm a clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist. I've been in private practice for right at 40 years anyway, and do a lot of work with ADHD, all ages, and uh, do a lot of diagnosis. And I also am the parent of several ADHD children, and I'm married into an ADHD family. And oh, by the way, my wife just decided that she also has ADHD, which actually is somewhat of a relief for me. I, on the other hand, have won awards for being able to pay attention. Just one, actually. I was at a conference, and the guy had one of the main instruments that we use to try to diagnose ADHD, and it was in a hallway, and it was noisy and all that crap. And we basically everybody had to take the test, and the one who won got a little prize, a hard drive or something like that. Anyway, I won, so I guess I pay attention well. Of course, that's the measurements on ADHD are kind of funky. Let's just say that they aren't exactly as precise, and sometimes they miss some. Let's just leave it at that. But one of the things that I've noticed all the time is that the people who are late diagnosed, people who've been getting kicked in the teeth for 20 years or so, they're finally sick of it. They're 30 plus years old, and they think of themselves as failures. And it was a lot more understandable back before there was actually a formal diagnosis of ADHD. But it sure doesn't seem like there's any reason for it to still be a major problem. But when I get email responses to some of my shows, it's like, oh my God, these folks are really, they're suffering basically. And it is so unnecessary. It's not funny. Let's just put it that way. When you're a kid and you know that you're having more trouble in school than all the other kids, you don't have a whole lot of explanations for it. You've never heard of ADHD, and so basically what people do is they label themselves. There's a famous book that I keep around mostly because I love the title. The title is "You Mean I'm Not Lazy, Crazy, or Stupid?" And it's about being diagnosed with ADHD. And but that's exactly what happens. People think, "Oh, I must be stupid. I can't stand this stuff. I can't do this stuff." And of course, our educational system is designed specifically to weed out ADHD. I mean, it is not designed for people who have problems with attention, focus, working memory, and so on. It's just not. You're supposed to sit there, listen quietly, do your homework quietly, listen to the lecture quietly, do the homework quietly, and that's just murder for an ADHD child. And then, of course, if you want to compound it, try adding block scheduling to it, where each session is 2 hours long instead of 1 hour. It's a nightmare. So what they tend to do, what ADHDers who have not been diagnosed tend to do, is blame themselves, call themselves names. Usually there's something on the order of stupid, or they get told, well, if you just pay attention, you could do so much better. Or if you'd just do your work, what are you, lazy? And that's not the worst of them, the worst of the names. I mean, they get called a lot of other things, and they call themselves a lot of other things. But basically, what they do after struggling for an entire lifetime somewhere, and then around the age of 30 or so, they start saying, maybe I ought to look into this ADHD stuff. That sounds like a lot of the things I do, a lot of the things I get screwed up with, and so on. So that's, they walk into my office and it's like, oh my gosh. And when I finally, when we do the feedback session after the evaluation, and I say, yeah, you got ADHD, I get like 3 responses usually. Either they're relieved. It's like, oh, thank God. Now at least I know what's going on. Or the other folks get angry. Why the heck did nobody tell me about this before? Why did nobody? Why didn't my parents? Da 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 da. Excuse me. And then finally, there's just the depressed ones. They're just, oh God, I got it. Oh. Anyway, but those have been pretty much the 3 paths I see in my office, and it's not necessary. Okay, ADHD is among the more treatable the things that are in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the American Psychiatric Association. We have treatments, lots of them actually, but the most common and short term is medication and therapy or coaching, as you got those 3 that are the big triumvirate. Excuse me, gosh, but when you don't have anybody telling you it's not your fault, you think it's your fault. And the other thing, besides labeling themselves with something negative, is that some, especially hyperactive types, and that's usually the boys, become rebellious. Well, screw you, I can't win with you anyway, so bump you. I'm gonna go hang out on the street and ride in fast cars and do other crazy things. I mean, so those are the kind of things that happen with late diagnosed ADHDers, and it is a real waste, because when you're in your 30s or 35 or 40 and you've never been diagnosed and never been treated, and you have a lifetime history of poor work performance, they don't usually go back and check your school performance, but you've got that too. So you don't think you're very smart. You're not sure what you can handle. You don't know anything about doing stuff like applying 504 plan accommodations to your life. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's Section 504 of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which basically gives the accommodations that a person gets because they have some kind of a disabling condition. And for ADHDers, that they apply. That procedure applies. That's if you're in the United States. Other countries I'm not all that familiar with, and I would, please write me and tell me about it. Message me. Is that the current terminology? Anyway, but what you want to do is, if you're a parent and you're struggling with your child and you're not sure what's going on, please get an evaluation, get it early. And if it says you don't have ADHD, fine. But it'll probably say there's something you need to treat. So don't get all strung out on the idea that your child is not is damaged in some way. Just what you got is you got ADHD is a treatable condition, and the outcomes are far preferable than not being evaluated. And you got to understand, we're all learning about this stuff at the same time, including a lot of the providers. Okay, there are many folks. I mean, when I first set up private practice, there was a husband and wife pediatric team, and the husband did not believe that ADHD was a real thing. Needless to say, I didn't get a lot of referrals from him, but I also, the ones I did get, I was always concerned about what he was going to do with them. Anyway, ADHD in a late diagnosed person is a problem, a serious problem. They label themselves with things that last their entire lives, and they don't. Well, they don't do the thing they need to do, which is they need to do a sincere self-evaluation. I'm not okay. That's one of the things. The Alcoholics Anonymous talk about a fearless self-inventory, and basically that's what you need to do. But then what you're looking for is, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? And if you're an ADHD person, you need to also be looking at, what are the kind of things where I hyper focus, where I just get into and I just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and don't think about it until somebody shakes me and gets me to stop. Those are your strength areas. Okay, if you're in something you hyper focus in, it's ideal if you're hyper focusing in something that helps you make a living in some way or another, or that could be a job for you, but if not, consider how you can use that. But areas that you hyper focus in are gold. Okay, the other aspect, the other thing you think, I don't know if you're lucky as an ADHD or unlucky, but the things that bore you, that you hate doing, it's way harder for you to do them than it is for the rest of us. So, I mean, I know some people who have spent their entire lives working at jobs that they absolutely detest. They can't wait to get to the magic retirement date, but that's not really, I think, the way people are supposed to live. We need to figure it out so that we have some kind of way of making a living that makes use of our best abilities, but also is semi-enjoyable, at least, a little bit. There has to be something about it that's enjoyable. And there are ADHDers who have been highly successful in a huge number of different areas. I mean, a lot of it tends to be, artist, musician, athlete, musician. I think I said it already, but, in those areas, a lot of the creative stuff, that seems to be more the bent of the traditional ADHDer. Although I know one guy that I evaluated quite a while ago now, he's a lawyer. His father was a lawyer. His grandfather was a lawyer. He had to be a lawyer in that family, and he's doing well. I don't know exactly how he's compensating, because he also had dyslexia, which is like my idea of the two things that should make you think, ain't no way I'm going to go to law school. But he was determined, and he made it, and he's a practicing attorney and doing quite well. Thank you very much. Of course, that's the other thing. We don't evaluate motivation very much. What you're motivated to do can sometimes be more important than what you're good at. But you need to have some knowledge of your stuff. What do you do? I mean, when you're just bored and sitting by yourself, what do you do? How do you fill your time? Do you doodle? Do you make stuff? My son used to make stuff. He's like MacGyver. You give him 2 paper clips and a rubber band, and who knows what you're going to get. And that's he designs and makes jewelry, which is not what I thought a child of mine would do, but hey. He did that on his own. He picked that out, and he picked out there's this school in San Diego called Gemnological Institute, and he went there for quite a while anyway, and so that's what he liked. That's what he trained himself to do, and that's he can do that by himself. He can do that working with somebody or for somebody. That's the other thing is ADHDers, diagnosed or not diagnosed, tend to want to be entrepreneurs. Basically because bureaucracy and ADHD are not a good fit, and so they don't like being basically bossed around, told what to do, given orders that maybe don't make that much sense to them. And the other thing is, ADHDers are not stupid. Okay, my son's IQ is over 130. So he ain't a dummy. But that means that he's always, if he doesn't have a jewelry job, he is working for somebody who's not as bright as he is. And that's a problem. I mean, that's you've got to get to a spot where if you're working for somebody, it has to be somebody who's pretty close to as sharp as you are. If you're not, you'll be frustrated all the time. Anyway, so I think we have hit some of the high spots. I'm going to be doing a short series. I haven't decided how many episodes. We'll just paddle along and see how many it takes. But I want to discuss and some of the other issues, or the issues actually probably I've hit in a little more detail. So that'll be coming up. Well, starting next week. I guess actually we started this week, didn't we? Okay. So the things we're gonna. Well, we'll talk about a lot of the problems that happen when you are not diagnosed early. Okay, the ideal kid, the lucky ones, are the ones who are diagnosed when they're 7 years old. So by the time they're hitting middle school, they know how to handle it. They've got whatever medication requirements down. They've got their compensatory strategies down, and they're good to go, so that by the time they get ready to go to college is still going to be a problem because of the organization stuff. But by the time they get there, they will have had a lot of practice, years of practice. So diagnose early, okay? And for the folks who have been watching my videos on YouTube, I have to apologize. I have not been connected with YouTube and on my computer, and I thought I was. So I have not been receiving a lot of the emails that or the responses that people have done that were on YouTube. We fixed that. Now I'm getting them. But it was kind of embarrassing because, there's like 4 years of things that I didn't know about. And some of them would have been good for me because they were good for my ego. But I'm on the job now, and I'm getting all of them. So please keep responding. And my website is terrygingrassphd.com, and you can sign up for several things. Please do. And I have a book on Amazon called Strategic Parenting, ADHD Strategic Parenting, which is the way I look at how you handle ADHD kids. And that's about it for commercials. I will be starting a oh, for gosh sakes. I have this something. I'm getting spammed right now as we speak, and I'm getting a little irritated with them. They have the magic mushrooms, and they're, by God, want to make sure everybody knows that they're good for everything from hammer toe to headaches. And anyway, so we will catch you on the flip flop. I'm going to be starting. I still haven't decided. I've got a 5-6 week course parenting, based largely on the strategic parenting model, and I've got some experience with running membership groups. So I'm flipping back and forth, but I'm slightly more weighted on the membership group right now. Okay, we will catch you on the flip flop, as they say, and see you next week.